Are you in need of a technology reset? I know at the end of the year, there's a lot going on. It can be easy to get overwhelmed, be escaping to your phone. Also, just taking advantage of the fact it's break, watching more shows or movies, or scrolling on social media, posting more, keeping up more, seeing what people are doing. And by the end of the year, there's two things going on. One, I'm realizing we're on our technology way too much. And two, I want to create my vision for the year and I need brain space to do that. And it's the perfect time to pair a technology fast with creating your vision. And so today I'm going to invite you to join me on doing a technology fast in January. And today let's talk about what that's going to look like.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
If you haven't started creating your vision yet for 2025, that's okay. There's plenty of time. I love to do it in January. Barely started myself. You can go to thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/vision and get access to either just the workbook and the course that I've created to guide you through the entire process. Or if you want, you can grab the Thriving in Motherhood Planner, which has the workbook included in the beginning of the pages. And you also have access to the Create Your Vision course. We have a Thriving in Motherhood collective community that once you purchase either just the workbook or the planner, you get immediate access to that community and can do this vision challenge with us. So again, head to thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/vision. It can be really discouraging to just continually fluctuate with how you're using technology. I know for me, I've had experiences of having months where I feel like I'm using it how I want to. And then I also have seasons where, life gets away, we're in survival mode and we start relying more and more on our screens, either just legit, like practically, like, okay, we're going to watch more movies as a family in the afternoon, or just like wasting time, escaping, trying to get time to go faster, right? We just end up using screens more. It's really easy to do that. Technology creep is a real thing. And so I have found it so liberating and freeing to be intentional during the month of January, a full 30 days to do a technology fast, because it's a hard reset and sets up the habits that I want to maintain for the upcoming year. So I've done a number of videos about technology fast, how it's going, how I've changed my phone. Those things are still in place. But January is different. January is where we rip the Band-Aid off and do a hard reset so that it gives ourselves a chance to remove any addictions that we might be struggling with technology. It gives us a chance to get our brains to go fully back online. It gives us a chance to devote that time and energy to creating your vision, to being able to receive ideas from God and partner with Him in that process, because you need space, you need mental space, you need quiet to be able to do that. And so we have to silence that noise from somewhere, and it's not going to be your kids that you're getting that silence from. It's going to be from your technology. And then we also just need this opportunity to think about, how do we actually want to be living our lives? I'm reading this great book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Now, it's written by a Christian pastor, and his ideas are very intriguing. They're very interesting. He goes into this concept of, in our day and age, we are constantly in a hurry, whether it's busy doing things or even just with a hurry of constant input from the digital world. And we often are burned out, irritable, frustrated, just overwhelmed with life, feeling crummy, not feeling joy or peace or happiness or fulfillment. And his hypothesis, his suggestion, his thesis here is that if we were to live our lives the way that Jesus Christ actually lived his life, which is an unhurried life, that we would therefore experience the fruits of that way of living. Now, I know not all of us are Christians here, and I love that about us. I love that we're from all different faith backgrounds and traditions. But the idea is really intriguing to me and pairs hand in hand really, really well with this idea of a technology fast. And also creating our visions and doing this reset on our lives. Now, I've read different books every single year that are along this vein. And so I would recommend, here's my 3 recommendations for you today. 1, let's do create a technology fast. And I'll walk through the details of what that looks like specifically and how you set that up in just a moment. 2, pick a book that will help inspire you. You could read Digital Minimalism. You could read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. You could read, there's so many. There's actually so many. You could read 24/6 about having a tech Shabbat. It's written by a Jewish author. Again, phenomenal concept about having a Sabbath every 7 days from technology. And she's got, all of these ideas, like, presentation of facts and information as well. I read a number every year, and I'll try and leave some in the description and the blog post of other book recommendations, but I would recommend reading that book. And then 3, creating your vision during the month of January. Those 3 things will set yourself up for some good success here. So, okay, let's talk about doing an actual technology fast. So the very first thing I recommend you doing is your why. Like, why are you doing this? For me, it's I want mental headspace and clarity. And 2, I feel like whether you're in survival mode, you're overwhelmed by your house, you're trying to figure out how to make time for the things you want to do, you feel like, oh, gee, I'm not having time to do hobbies or interests, or I have lots of ideas, but I'm not taking action. Wherever you are on that 5-step path from surviving to thriving, your situation can be improved by reducing the use of your phone or technology, because it will just all of a sudden eliminate a huge portion of not just your time that's going away, but your mental thought processes. I have been astounded at after the first week, I'm like, oh, my brain came back online. It's so much easier to think now. It's so much easier to function now. And it's just time for that again. So that's your first thing. Come up with your why, write it down. The second part of this is to write your yes and your no's. Get very, very clear. What are your personal rules for your tech fast? Now, it can look different, right? If you work on the computer, you're going to have to make some allowances for what's okay for work and what's not okay for work. Okay, I'm going to spend this much time every day on X, Y, and Z, but I'm not going to check email on my phone, right? I will only check email on my computer. It still has to be addressed, but it's not going to be accessible from my phone. You might decide, I'm not going to listen to anything. There's going to be no, my first year, it was no music, no podcasts, no movies, nothing, silence for a month, besides my family. But all silence from outside inputs. You might decide to do that. You might say it's okay for me to listen to a podcast every week. But I will say that was one of my biggest objections. No, I want to listen to podcasts. I want to listen to audiobooks. And it was incredible to take a break for my first year to not listen to any of those things. It was a really powerful experience. I don't know that there's some different situations in my life where I'm going to, instead of, there's a few key audiobooks that I will listen to that are historical in nature they are historical. They're straight up historical that I'm going to be continue to listen to. And 2, I have courses, online courses and programs that I'm going to work through. So while I won't be doing watching YouTube videos, even though there's some really great educational and inspiring stuff on there, I will be working through my course materials. So you just have to decide what are your rules and stick to them. You might also think through okay, is this, am I going to watch any shows during this time? For me, that was a pretty easy, no, we're not going to watch shows during this time. With the exception of, again, we're kind of in a survival season right now. So there might be some afternoons. One of the key things for me is I'm not doing anything by myself. So if I'm going to consume something, it's going to be on the couch with my kids. We're doing the same thing together. And that's because I'm in a particularly interesting survival season right now that requires me to do things differently. So you get it again, every year is going to be a little bit different, but you pick your own rules and you write it down and you commit to it. Now, I would love for you to post in the collective, if you're doing this with us, what are your rules? Because I think it's really helpful to see okay, we're all in very different seasons of life. We have all very different circumstances. We have different things that we need to do with our technology and different things that we don't need to do with our technology. And so post your yes and your no lists on there so that we can be inspired and also encourage each other and have some accountability. You might decide to pare your phone down to the absolute bare bones so that it's just a phone. And I think, and I have a camera on there. And I'll link to the video that I posted last year if you want to see exactly how I set my phone up. Didn't cost me anything, okay? It just dumbs down your smartphone. And then I would talk with your kids about this and let your husband know what you're doing as well. Now, my husband's never done a tech fast with me in the same way that I've done it, and that's great. My kids still have been listening to audiobooks in the afternoon, so they haven't done a hardcore tech fast with me in that same way. And you can decide as a family, and we haven't talked through it yet this year about what our family's going to do specifically. This is just like something that it's in my circle of influence. So I would like, if your spouse isn't on board, if your kids aren't excited about it, like that's okay. Do it for you. Be the example, be the leader, give it a try. It's gonna make a huge difference on your life. So then once you've got your rules, you're gonna set your dates and your time frame. You might say, we're gonna start like, this video here podcast coming out on December 31st. And you might be like, you know what, this is a great time to start. I'm going to start January 1st to January 31st. Or you might say, ooh, okay, let's start the first full week of January, whatever you want, that's fine. But I really highly encourage you to go 30 days with your tech fast, because for me, it's like the first week you're just like jittery, and then it takes a while to really start getting into the deeper results and that feeling of freedom and just headspace and clarity and peace. And then also starting to change how you're living, right? And instead of just thinking about like not having your smartphone, you're starting to think about, well, what are we doing instead? So it just takes time, and I highly recommend that you give yourself that gift, because it's a gift. And then once you've kind of set your parameters, then it's going to be a pattern of going forward and seeing, okay, how do I make this easy to do? Because I will bet you're going to slip up a few times, maybe in your first, your second week, or maybe your third week. And your best chance of success here is going to be to set up the environment, to make it easy to do the things that you want to do. Number one trick. So I want you to notice like, oh, okay, I'm noticing like these triggers or these behaviors or this location. I'm picking up these habits that I have. And then start to make it hard to do it, like be intentional, reflect at the end of the day, like don't beat yourself up about it or be like, well, I'm going to quit, or, oh, hey, this isn't working for me. Figure out how can you change the environment to make it supportive of what you're trying to do for the next 30 days. So some examples might be putting your phone in a different location entirely, leaving it in a drawer. It might be making clear rules, like no escaping to the bathroom to look at your phone, right? Like you have to do it in public. It might be that you start announcing every time you pick up your phone what you're doing. Hey, I'm just quickly responding to this message from someone, and then you have some accountability, and then you put it away. It might mean that you turn your phone off for certain hours of the day, so it's like you can't get any information coming in. It might be that you turn your like notifications on just for messages so that you don't have to check your phone calls, right? Like maybe you have your phone on silent and then you're like, well, but I'm constantly checking to see if I missed a message or missed a call or if someone needs to reach me. So maybe you actually turn notifications on for the few things that you really care about so you can feel comfortable not touching your phone. So figure it out for you. And also maybe it's just like, wow, I don't know what to do during that time and I'm picking up my phone. Well, yeah, of course you are, okay? So we need to lean into that experience of boredom. Like give yourself permission to be okay being bored and figuring things out. Now, over the next 4 weeks during January, I'm going to be, every week of this podcast episode, I'm going to be talking about a different element of this tech fast, giving you different things to try, different things to think about, pulling from resources from other books that I've read. Just to really encourage you in this process and provide a little bit more external motivation, accountability, and support as you think about doing this. And so whether you're going to say, oh, I'm not watching podcast episodes, that's fine. Don't watch them. That's fine. But if you are like, oh, I'm struggling, then I want to provide some accountability, some support for you as you do this tech fast, because I think it matters so much on, again, like as I think about what is thriving in motherhood all about, it's helping you be able to enjoy the good of today and make tomorrow a little bit better too. And one way I can support you in doing that is to encourage you to use technology less, and create your vision for the year in January. Okay. 2-fold mission for January, create your vision, tech fast. So then, as you start to get to the end of your technology fast, and you can do it during it as well, but I want you to be reflecting, writing down, journaling, sharing in the Thriving in Motherhood Collective. What are the results? What am I noticing? Not only notice what's hard and problem solve those things, but also start to notice the benefits. What is becoming easier because of this thing? And also, start listening to, again, like I'm listening to courses during this time, right? I'm prepping. Work through the Create Your Vision mini course. If you're like, replace it, you're like, I'm going to be on my phone. Great. If you're on your phone, hop onto the Create Your Vision mini course. Watch those, watch a lesson video. Think about it. Get out your workbook or your planner and write down your answers to those things. Use that time in your technology to benefit you, to really support you, to support your family, to help you create this vision for where you want to go, which is truly one of the keys to good mental health. Is to have a vision greater than today, to have something that you're working towards, that you're striving towards, that you're excited about, that's something that motivates you. So really important, really important. And then at the end, let's celebrate, right? Let's celebrate the end of your 30 days. And it isn't now a like quick rubber band snap to however it is, full binge, whatever you want. Instead, at the end of your 30 days, what you need to do is write a new list. You want to make this 30 days something that is jarring enough that you don't want to go back to the way things were before. And now, look, technology creep is real. There's a reason why I'm doing a hard reset again in January. But I want you to set yourself up for the year and notice, like, there's some things every year, like I say technology creep is real, but also there's things that I have never returned to again. There's things that I completely stopped doing and haven't done for years, have never returned to for years because I didn't miss them. And found things so much better. Like, it's been years since I've been on Pinterest to do anything on Pinterest. And I don't know if Pinterest is still a thing, but I just noticed like the absence of anxiety that I felt being like constantly bombarded by tons of images after doing one of these tech fasts. And I don't miss it. I don't use that anymore. The other, like, I haven't like started listening to some podcast episodes, like podcasts again. Like, I didn't miss them. They weren't helping me. They didn't need them in my life. So I don't know. There's just a lot of things that you change that you just might find yourself not doing altogether. So sit down at the end of this 30 days, end of January, and write down what your new yes and no list are moving forward. Not in a like restrictive, painful way. This isn't about dieting. This is about lifestyle at this point. You've allowed yourself to detox. You've allowed yourself to get some clarity. You've allowed yourself to think again. And now with a clear head, you get to decide how you want to live your life and how you want to use technology as a tool to serve you instead of being a slave to it. So if you want to loop your families in, that's great. If your husbands are excited about it, that's great. If not, just do it yourself. And then one of those things is create your vision in that space. So I hope that you have a wonderful week. I'm excited to talk with you again next week. I will have shorter, encouraging episodes during the month of January to help support you on your tech fast. Head over to thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/vision to be able to create your vision for this upcoming year with me. I hold your hand through it. It's a really powerful process. I've been doing it with moms for years, and the feedback is always really, really positive at what they're able to get out of this process. And I just want to invite you to be able to come do the same thing with me right now because it's one of the most powerful things you can do. So have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again next week.